And, Jim, on the topic of WWE talent and disgruntled talent, I do have one last bit of audio I want to play here. This is from the Absolute Geek podcast. CM Punk talking about how WWE treated Sasha Banks and Naomi. Let me play you this.
Put it to you like this. Oh boy, people are going to be real mad about this, but Mercedes and Trinity leave, and they announce on SmackDown that, gosh darn, we're so disappointed in them, and they really let our fans down. Brock splits, comes back, obviously. I think he worked the show, but where's Michael Cole saying, man, Brock Lesnar really let these fans down? I walked out. They went on TV and they called me a quitter. What's changed? What's the difference? You're going to attack these two fucking poor women who just kind of had enough and they walked? They got bigger balls than everybody there. So what's changed? There's nothing much that's changed, and there's people that talk about it, and there's people that do it, and the people who lick the boots and have the audacity to go on live television and say that about those two women. Fucking cowards and bootlickers. That shit's ridiculous. Why didn't they do it for Brock? They did it for me. No. It's none of my business.
Great way to end it there. And of course, I'm thinking that the bootlicker he's referring to is Michael Cole.
Well, I mean, just because his breath smells like kiwi boot polish is no reason. I like what he said. I will not take exception with, but break down one thing. We don't know with Brock what the conversation was or what the actual statement was before he left, but I have a feeling that they knew they could probably, once he calmed down, once he cooled off, once they get Heyman on the case, whatever they had to do, they'd probably get Brock to come back to the building. He's still in town. He's answering his phone, whatever. I have a feeling that much like with Naomi and Sasha, when Punk left the building that night, they knew there was no reason to waste a phone call. It was not going to be an easily reversed situation. But otherwise, the point is well taken, though. It depends on who you are, how bad they need you, and whether or not they think you will come back. If they think that was Vince's thing from Vince Sr., get the match in the ring. Do whatever you got to do to fulfill what's advertised or what your plans are, and then figure out a way to get even with the motherfucker later. So that's why I think that, especially in this situation right now with Punk, 10 years ago, there was no AEW. Impact was doing better ratings than AEW is now, but there was still, they didn't consider them competition. And they had a little bit more of a snooty attitude. At this point, they knew with the injuries and the state of the talent pool in the business in general, and as you just mentioned, guys being signed up for 5 years across the street, you can't get them now anyway, they couldn't let Brock go anywhere. And let's face it, Sasha has been a big star. Naomi was with her. They've neither one been to the level of the star power that Brock has or the leverage he's got as a result of that. But
yeah, let's also think about the difference in the things that happened. Sasha and Naomi got into some kind of argument about creative and walked out.
With Vince.
Brock Lesnar reportedly said, if he's gone, I'm gone, upset that Vince wasn't there, and walked out. CM Punk, I think, called Triple H a doofus and said, you need to work with me, I don't need to work with you. And then I think he said also Vince started crying and gave him a hug right before he walked out. So there's a big difference in the way everyone left.
Yes, there were numerous differences. But that was the best. You don't need to work with me. I don't need to work with you. You need to work with me. That was the best to Triple H. So point is, all those things were individual circumstances and at different times and time periods, but he does have a point. And the point is that if they need you, they adjust how they act toward you or react about you to the level of how bad they need you. And that's shocking, a shocking surprise. But, Triple H discovering sleep after all this time. And I told you he was the only guy in the clique that wasn't using artificial methods back in the days. But now he's been up for 20 years because he's a Vince McMahon son-in-law, and he also works for the company, so he has not experienced sleep. Now suddenly he's found it, but yet, Brian, here's the fly in the ointment. Here's the rub. He's taken a job again that's going to deprive him not only of the time to get the proper sleep, but also, Brian, you can't go to sleep when you're laying awake at night thinking about goofy wrestlers, crazy as rainbow trouts in car washes. You lay awake at night, you think about the show, you think about the matches, you think about the finishes, you think about the booking. And if you get poor sleep, Brian, it causes you to gain weight. He don't need to do that. Causes mood issues, poor mental health, lower productivity. And this is a point where Triple H needs to be as productive as possible. And you got to be able to boost those white blood cells because they're the ones that's protecting the body against illness and diseases and viruses and bacteria and raccoons and all the things that can go wrong. So, you know what we need to do, Brian? We need to send Triple H a big case of Beam's Dream Powder. Because that way, even if he's laying awake at night with his eyes open, staring at the ceiling, worrying about all the things going on with the wrestling business, he takes one drink, one cup of this delicious hot cocoa, and he's going to be out like a light. As a matter of fact, he's going to have flashbacks to when he almost went into the light during his heart issues.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
No, he turned around and he left. He didn't walk into the light. And folks, you will not walk into the light either. You'll walk into a door. You'll walk into the wall. You'll walk in on possibly, I don't know, your wife or sister-in-law engaging in relations in the living room you didn't know were happening because you take the Beam Dream Powder.
What does that have to do with anything?
You're going to walk into a lot of stuff. You're going to run headfirst in because your eyes are going to be closed because you're sleeping good, refreshing, peaceful sleep. Folks, I'll have you know that they have surveyed this, and 98% of the people surveyed fall asleep faster when taking Beam Dream. 99% of people experience better sleep quality, and 1% of the people ran for Senate in the state of Kentucky. We're not sure about what happened to them. But I'm telling you, just mix the Beam Dream into hot water or milk, gives it a little more body, you stir it up, and enjoy it before bedtime. Within seconds, your eyelids are getting heavy. You're feeling sleepy. Your limbs, your arms and legs are drooping. Suddenly, you fall face first to the ground, smashing your nose into the concrete, and then you know you're ready for a good night's sleep. Folks, and if you don't love it, you can get your money back guaranteed. What happens after that is up to you and the collection agency. But for a limited time only, you can get $20 off when you go to Shop Beam. That's BEAM. shopbeam.com/JCE. Use the code JCE at checkout. Shopbeam.com/JCE. Use the code JCE for $20 off. I'm telling you, Forbes is talking about it. The New York Times is talking about it. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the FDA is talking about it. As a matter of fact, the ICE agents are talking about this. Some illegal beam was coming over the border.
No, stop it.
From the Isle of Man. They had to shut that shit down. Only the good beam from the folks at shopbeam.com. They were trying to make counterfeit beam. And it was...
Who was?
The people over in Chile, I think it was. Either Chile or Venezuela. They were routing it onto a pleasure cruise line from the Isle of Man and then bringing it across the border in Pismo Beach. But we got that shut down. Now, if you buy from shopbeam.com, it's only the recognized, actual, legitimate, official, authorized Beam Dream Powder. Accept no substitutes. or no counterfeits. ShopBeam.com.
You don't have to worry about any counterfeits when you buy directly from Beam.
Yes, that's why I'm saying go to ShopBeam.com. Don't go to these bodegas on the corner, the street corner, that have actually generic Beam. That's no good at all. Some of this stuff is really just hot cocoa.
You know, it's not like this anymore, but it used to be back in the day, the good old days. If you went to, like, let's say, Williamsburg, if you went to a bodega that had a yellow awning, you could get drugs in there.
What, just in Williamsburg or because of the yellow awning?
Well, several different areas around there, but certain people ran this operation, and they let it be known that this is where you go if you want to get stuff.
You go to the yellow awning.
The yellow awning. It's not that way anymore, though, folks.
No, I always heard you're not supposed to eat the yellow snow, but you are supposed to go to the yellow awning. How do you know these things?
I know lots of things.
Yeah. ShopBeam.com/JCE. It's delicious beam powder that's highly authorized and will put you out like a light.